So the One Piece live action trailer just dropped. Isn't that something? I made a video on this thing a while back and did address it a few times other than that video, but that was really just me making fun of the writers for it because they said some really dumb things. But of course I wasn't just gonna write off the entire thing just because of an excerpt from the writers. That's not fair at all. It took a while, but we finally gotten a trailer, so does the One Piece live action look good so far? I see a lot of people that hate this trailer, but there's also a lot of people that really liked it and are very excited. And I'm sorry to say this, but I am not on that side of the spectrum. Yeah, guys, it's time for me to ruin everybody's fun again. And look, if I did enjoy it, then I would let you know. I'm just trying to be honest here. I just don't think this thing looks very good. Now, before I get into my thoughts on the trailer, I need to make this clear because it's become apparent to me that some people look at my critiques of One Piece as some sort of personal attack towards Oda, but that's not anything close to what I'm doing. I am a fan of One Piece, and so I am going to talk about the series and things surrounding it. Most of my subscribers are One Piece fans. Most of my popular videos are One Piece related, so naturally, I'm going to discuss One Piece on this channel. But that does not mean I'm going to be dishonest with you guys and act like I enjoy absolutely everything there is that has a straw hat on it, because I don't. I still love this franchise, but there are outliers to what I do like from it. And from what I've seen of this trailer, this looks like one of them. You might be thinking, oh, but you can't write it off because of the trailer. And you're right, I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm just giving my honest thoughts. Trailers are meant to be a first impression to what the show is going to look like, and if you're gonna tell me I can't critique the trailer or that first impression, then you don't really understand what the point of a trailer is. I'm not writing it off entirely. Hell, there are things I like about it and I'm going to get to that. But trailers will show you things to look forward to and things to be concerned about, and one of those things severely outweigh the other for me. And I've already said this, I'm not gonna be biased. There are things that I did like from this trailer. This doesn't look like a terrible thing. It looks at least passable as a TV show. Like, look man, I've seen some shitty live action anime adaptations. I mean, I watched Knights of the Zodiac just a month ago, and that was probably the worst movie I've seen in the last 5 years. And trust me, this show does not look anywhere close to that bad. Does that mean it looks good? No. No, God no. But it doesn't look awful. It still could very well be one of the better live action anime adaptations, even if that doesn't mean it will be good. But once again, let me get the positives out of the way. The set designs for the areas of the story that were shown look really, really good and very spot on. In fact, I'm almost certain that the set design is where most of the budget went into. The same goes for the costume designs, at least for most of them. They're very accurate to the manga from what we've seen of them, and while not all of them look great, you can't win them all. Some of the shots that show off the set pieces make me the most invested in watching the show because they really do look like the standout of this product so far. I kid you not, all of the best shots in this trailer are when we're seeing the set pieces. Another thing I like is that in this one little shot, from what I know, it appears Zoro is fighting the original Mr. Seven in this scene, which was cut out from the manga. And if they're gonna expand on stuff like that, then it's really cool to see and it makes it worth watching. Only problem with that is I don't really see this show making it up to Alabasta, so if it stops at East Blue but shows Zoro fighting Mr. Seven, then that's kind of pointless. But still, if they're gonna expand on some stuff, then that's really cool to see and I really want to see that. My biggest positive though is that I absolutely love the casting choice of Emily Rudd as Nami. If you haven't seen the Fear Street movies, please, please, please do. They're really good, and while she isn't exactly the main star in them, she's still really good and I really love her as an actress because of it. She's easily my favorite casting out of all of these choices. And that's what I liked. Now on to the actual topics I want to talk about, because there's way more concern than promise from what I've seen. For one, outside of the set designs, this show just looks so bad. It looks ugly and it looks cheap. One Piece, it's known for its cartoonish style, and the anime is especially very colorful. But this trailer has almost no color to it. Most of the shots either look taken raw out of the camera with no color grading done, or they have this really weird yellow tint to them. You know that tint that movies and shows use whenever the characters go to Mexico, like in Breaking Bad? Yeah, that's in this trailer, and it doesn't really make that much sense. Aside from that, there's really almost no color to the world when it isn't yellow. It just looks really ugly. Even the nighttime shots that we see look so bland and boring. They seem like more of a way to make the really poor CGI look better. And you might say I'm nitpicking, but I'm really not, because visual style and visual language is important, and when it comes to something like One Piece with this really colorful and diverse world, it's really off-putting for it to look so bland, because it takes so much of the charm away from One Piece. Like, pretty much everything that makes One Piece good doesn't exist at all here. A world that's full of so much color and style should not look this boring. That's the main reason why One Piece's world building is so good, and yet it doesn't appear in any of these shots. And that's the main issue I have with this. It looks exactly how I expected it to, lifeless and uninspired. It's exactly what happens when you take away the beauty and magic of animation and style from an animated and stylistic property such as One Piece. I know people are tired of hearing this complaint, but it's still valid. This trailer just makes it more apparent that this series just can't translate to live action properly. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just shouldn't make this live action. A world like One Piece requires so much visual dazzle that just doesn't exist here. It looks like your run-of-the-mill, low-budget TV show despite costing around the same as Game of Thrones despite looking so much worse in every possible way. This looks more comparable to a CW show than it does to Game of Thrones or even a Marvel show. The shot composition is also just really unappealing and boring. Even from the few shots we've gotten of it, the CGI just looks bad. And early One Piece has probably the least amount of things you need to use CGI on. If you go later down the line to, let's say, Chopper or Crocodile, do you realize how much technology, time, and money you need to put into that to make it look even bearable, let alone actually good? The budget of this show is already super high, which a lot of you guys told me would make it look good, but it doesn't. So having to up it even more for the shit you have to add for just a second season alone is just a bad investment you're not gonna get any good results out of. You might be wondering why I'm even talking so much about a season 2, but Netflix themselves have said that they want to turn One Piece into this big franchise for them like Stranger Things. So the possible longevity of this show is still very important considering Netflix wants to make it a long-running thing, which means that they are going to emphasize a lot of the setup in One Piece in this one season, and if it doesn't go anywhere, then it's literally the most redundant and pointless thing they have ever put so much money into. This show making it past season 1 would be a miracle. The Sea King looks bad and the Gum Gum pistol looks even worse. And that's during a night scene. Nighttime naturally makes CGI harder to notice, and yet it's still noticeably bad. I know there's still time to polish things up, but from my first impressions alone, I'm very, very concerned with how this show is going to look, especially with how much of the CGI we're going to be getting. Like, if this doesn't get past East Blue, then what is even the point of making this show? And speaking of the Gum Gum pistol, the delivery on that shout was awful. From the few lines we've seen and the movements, Luffy's actor doesn't really give me Luffy vibes. I'm not gonna call him a bad actor because, first of all, the show isn't out yet, and I haven't seen anything from him because he's not in a lot of stuff. But just from the trailer, it's not doing him any favors. His voice doesn't fit in my opinion, and his line delivery is just not doing it for me. He doesn't really have the endearing charm that Luffy has. He just sounds obnoxious without the charm. And I'm not trying to be a dick when I say that. I'm just not seeing that much range with him. Perhaps I could be wrong and they're actually hiding all of his best moments for the actual show when it comes out, and I'm gonna eat my words when it comes out. But I don't know, man. I kind of doubt it. He just does not fit the Luffy box for me. And from the lines of dialogue we do hear, I'm not exactly regretting when I did make fun of the writers, because they're making the Straw Hats talk through this quippy Joss Whedon-esque dialogue, and I shouldn't have to explain why that's awful, like why that doesn't work, especially for One Piece. The really in-your-face dialogue that One Piece has also doesn't really work for live action, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna be abandoning that. Like, there's one line in the trailer where Luffy says, "Oh, I'm feeling some tension brewing between this crew," and it's probably one of the most cringeworthy things I've ever heard in my entire life. And if any of you try to do a gotcha moment to me by acting like that's intentional, just go to hell. Go to hell. I'm sick of hearing the "it's actually supposed to sound and look corny" excuses, because you can tell when it's intentionally stupid and when it's just regularly stupid. This is just bad dialogue. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no context you can add to this to not make it sound like MCU dialogue. And when One Piece characters are talking like MCU characters instead of One Piece characters, then you already failed at writing them. As of now, this is exactly what I thought it would be. Oh, and there's one more thing I want to address right now, because I know a lot of people are going to be commenting this. Oh, but Oda is supervising it and he seems to like it a lot, and the director is a really big One Piece fan, so I don't care. I do not care. I don't care. Listen, let's make this really clear. Eiichiro Oda is a mangaka. Eiichiro Oda is not a filmmaker. Mangaka and filmmakers are two entirely different entities. Oda does not make live-action television shows, so in the most respectful way possible, I don't care if he's supervising it. It may make it more faithful to the manga, sure, that looks like it's the case, but that doesn't equate to a good quality show, because just being faithful isn't enough. Also, just liking the series isn't enough. I don't care that the director is a fan of One Piece. That should be the bare minimum requirement to make a show about One Piece. If you're gonna use the bare minimum to try to make me optimistic, then the bar is really low there. There isn't anything I've seen from this guy to tell me whether or not I trust him as a director, so for now I'm just not gonna set any expectations on him. That's the most fair way to do it, because I haven't seen movies or shows made by him, so I'm just not gonna judge his work until his work comes out. But as a whole, I will say this. The trailer doesn't look terrible. I'm not saying that. But I don't exactly see the show being any huge success either, which is pretty embarrassing for Netflix. But hey, if Netflix fails, then we all win. It looks exactly how I expected it to be. Mediocre. And if it's a mediocre show, then it isn't going to accomplish anything. I can see you having a lot of fun with this if you are a One Piece fan already, but that's not really the goal of the show. It's to expand its reach in the West, and I just don't think this is going to be the answer. A lot of you guys are going to tell me to put more faith into this, but I'm not giving this show the benefit of the doubt. And that's not an unfair judgment to make. I'm not going to put stock into a product from a company notorious for churning out shitty products for money and taking beloved IPs and giving them the most uninspired alterations possible for money. And this looks no different from First Impression. I'm not changing my stance on that. Doesn't look awful, but it doesn't look great either, just looks mediocre. And hey, compared to shit like Knights of the Zodiac and Cowboy Bebop, that's pretty good. But I'm still on the train that this shouldn't have been made to begin with. I'm very sick of companies taking animated products and turning them into live action because they don't respect the medium of animation. Like, we really need to stop treating live action like it's on this pedestal that everything needs to aspire towards to be successful, because that's not true, and some things are better off not being changed to live action, and One Piece is one of those things. I will not change my mind about that ever. I will come back to this video when the show comes out. Who knows, maybe it could be better than I expect, or maybe it could be worse than I expect. But for now, my expectations are as low as they were before, because this tells me literally everything I was already expecting. But with all that being said, if you guys like this video, leave a like, comment down below what you'd like to see me cover next, and subscribe to the channel. I already know this video is going to get a lot of dislikes just like my Wano videos did, but oh well, you win some, you lose some. That's happened many times before with my One Piece videos already. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.